living alone.
Hi friends, I'm excited to announce that my blues album, Lost and Found, A Love Story, will be released on all the media platforms March 1st. We're talking Amazon, iTunes, YouTube, Playtunes, Spotify, all those funny names. Physical CDs will also be available. So be watching wherever you buy your music, pick it up, and enjoy. On to the video.
I'm breathing underwater, I'm weightless through space. I'm soaring like an eagle all over this place. Creatures most will never see are waiting there to look at me, and all I gotta do is breathe underwater.
As I got closer to the end of season 3 and started looking at season 4, I couldn't help noticing how many episodes we're doing that involve the supernatural. We've had more than one ghost, and we have another one today. I was sort of ruminating on why that is, but I think today's episode gives me another slice of the answer. It's coming together slowly, kind of like the pie pieces in Trivial Pursuit.
Getting worse. I'm turning back.
No, not yet.
It's not worth the risk. We can't find out anything in a storm like this.
The Navy won't take that for an answer.
And they're gonna have to.
That's Commander Van Wick. 4 capital ships of the American fleet have disappeared in this area, and Command has sent him to find out what happened to them. But Admiral Nelson is right. They can't find the missing ships if they're missing 2. The ships all reported storms exactly like this, and they were a lot bigger and tougher than the flying sub.
We can't take any more of this. We're heading back to Seaview.
We're not going back.
Another move like that and you'll wind up in a brig.
A U.S. Navy officer knows better than that. Something doesn't track.
What?
Look.
And what is that?
I don't know. But whatever it is,
Whatever it is, it just shot you out of the sky with iron cannonballs. The flying sub is dead on the surface and the storm just stopped suddenly. They can see an island nearby. May as well break out the raft and oars and go see if somebody there took our ships.
give me a hand with this life raft, will you?
I'm not sure what that expression said, but it definitely wasn't "aye, sir." This is Warren Stevens' 3rd appearance on the show. He was also in 2 episodes of Land of the Giants. We saw him in Honey West and Wonder Woman, I forget what else. He was another of those character actors that these shows couldn't exist without. And today, I trust him about as far as the flying sub can move right now.
Any word from the Admiral?
None.
Keep trying.
Sparks keeps calling. He just can't raise the flying sub.
What could have happened to him?
What happened to those 4 Navy ships that are missing?
I get the feeling Chip is a little angry about this whole thing. It'll never be said, but the attitude suggests that he was opposed to it from the start, and he's not enjoying the vindication. There's a cave on the island.
Look here, sir.
There's some kind of writing. What is that, German?
No, sir, that's Dutch.
Sure.
With a name like Van Wick? Yes, sir, I'm sure.
Can you make it out?
Yes, sir, roughly translated, it reads, "Cursed be those who venture through this portal."
Oh boy. A ghost ship, Dutch writing. I think we can tell where this is going. Wherever it's going, he probably shouldn't have gone there.
it looks like this place was inhabited once, but he didn't sink those ships.
Certainly not with that dagger.
I think somebody wants you to put it back. For reasons beyond my comprehension, he decides to keep it. There's nothing of interest here. They need to get back to the flying sub and see if Nelson can repair it.
A curse upon your head. A curse now and forever.
It's a cave-in. Let's get out of here.
They get out, but I think something must have clunked Van Wick over the head.
You all right? Of course I'm all right. Why shouldn't I be?
After what we've just been through, you can ask that?
Simple little rock fall while we're investigating the cave. There's nothing to be alarmed about.
Wait a minute. What about the curse? Huh? Voice we heard, and that square rigger that shot us down.
Admiral, I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about.
No, nothing hit him. Suddenly, he's deliberately screwing with the Admiral's head, trying to make him think he imagined the whole thing.
Oh, what about this? Is that imagination, too?
Oh, that's real enough. Probably some old pirate weapon dropped here centuries ago. Let me have a look at it.
No, I think not. Obviously, one of us is losing contact with reality. And if it's you, I prefer to keep the weapon, thank you.
Good move. Back at the flying sub, they're making another weird discovery.
Well, let's get the repairs made and head back to Seaview.
What repairs, Admiral? Everything seems to be in working order.
Whatever is going on, it's not hard to see that Van Wick is behind it. What's his game? Nelson reports in and Captain Crane says, "We didn't detect any storm in that area. Did you learn anything about the missing ships?"
Nothing, unless it has something to do with the island.
Island? Admiral, there's no island out there.
Well, of course there is. We were just on it.
None on the charts.
Between that and Van Wick trying to persuade him that he hallucinated the whole thing, Nelson is getting a little frantic. He knows it all happened. He has the tangible proof in his hand. Okay, everybody, here is your chance to pull out your best and worst jokes about a skeleton crew. And go! You can't blame him. He wakes up in sick bay, needless to say.
Sick bay?
You came aboard and you passed out and we brought you down here.
I'm all right. I'm not sick.
All right, now take it easy. Just,
Look, when I tell you I'm all right, I'm all right.
Let him, Skipper. Still feeling a little weak, sir?
Well, not weak exactly, Doc. Just a little bit tired.
That's hardly surprising. Characteristic syndrome of a very severe emotional trauma.
Emotional trauma, like seeing your whole crew as skeletons and then having one of them tap you on the shoulder? You mean like that? Nelson has some kind of allergy to sick bay. He can't stand being there and will refuse to go there several more times. I think he's afraid the doctor's going to give him a nasty old shot. Ah!
where in the world did you get that?
Well, I found it on the island.
Then there was an island. And what was that about the curse?
Well, who said anything about a curse?
Oh, you did, in your delirium. You told me about the island from the flying sub.
But there was no island on the chart.
That's what I told you.
And Seaview didn't go through any storm.
No. Admiral, what's wrong with you anyway?
Obviously nothing. Again, he's holding the proof of what he said in his hand, and Crane is looking at it, and he still doesn't believe him. Part of the reason they need to solve the mystery of the missing ships is because the entire 11th Fleet is headed this way to conduct maneuvers in the area. Given the circumstances and the fact that they haven't solved the mystery, it makes me think that's a bad idea, but as the saying goes, what do I know? There's our other star of the show. I've noted before that often the circuitry room gets more screen time than some of the cast members, and it's pretty much never good screen time, like right now.
Van Wick? What are you... Well, that wiring, sir. This is a restricted area. Nobody's allowed to touch that. Hey! Hey, wait!
That was a mistake. Van Wick just revealed himself as an enemy. He won't have any more cooperation from the crew. In fact, Sharky intends to catch him and arrest him right now. Or not. His report said that Van Wick is a magician who made him run into a blank wall.
May I have that dagger, if you don't mind?
How did you get in here?
How does anyone enter a cabin? You were too absorbed in the dagger to hear me.
I rather doubt that. I checked your cabin. It was empty. I think you've been here all the time.
It's a little more complicated, but for now, let's just go with it.
May I have the weapon, please?
Why?
Admiral, I'm aboard Seaview to investigate the mysterious disappearance of 4 units of the 11th Fleet. Now, that dagger could be an important clue. I need it.
Are you asking me to believe that there's a connection between an 18th century dagger and the disappearance of 4 capital ships?
I have reason to believe so, yes.
I have reason to believe that you're lying.
He has an unnaturally intense desire to get his hands on that dagger, and Nelson knows it. That's why he puts it in his safe and locks it up.
Admiral, you haven't forgotten the curse in the cave, have you?
The curse was nonsense.
And the Flying Dutchman?
He pulled that out of left field. Is he trying to say that's what the Admiral saw?
The Flying Dutchman.
Well, surely you know the legend. An ancient square rigger lost in time. A ghost ship sailing aimlessly and endlessly the 7 seas.
What has that got to do with...
Admiral, the Flying Dutchman was cursed. Just as we're cursed, all of us.
He says, I can break the curse and save the 11th Fleet, but I have to have the dagger. Before he can elaborate, Sharky is at the door.
Come in.
I can't, sir. It's locked.
Oh.
How does the uniform disappear with him? Well, he went to Reed Richards around 1966 and got some of those unstable molecules that he made all his cool stuff out of. Fortunately, there were enough doubloons left on the Dutchman to cover Reed's fee.
Excuse me, Admiral. I'd like a word with you.
What is it?
Commander Van Wick, I'm worried about him.
In what way?
Well, sir, I found him fooling around with our control systems, and when I asked him a few questions, he clobbered me and ran.
Mm-hmm. You tell the captain?
Yes, sir. He's ordered a search for him.
Well, that's not necessary. He's right here.
Where, sir?
Right here. We were just...
You mean he was right here? But now everyone knows he's not what he seems to be, and he has bad intentions. Find him and lock him up. We just saw how effective that'll be.
They who reach the Flying Dutchman never reach the shore. They who see the Flying Dutchman never reach the shore. Flying Dutchman.
Why does Van Wyck have such a mad-on for Admiral Nelson? Captain Crane happens to be passing by and gets the fire taken care of. Nelson got a snoot full of smoke, but nothing serious. In fact, being a smoker himself, he contacted his favorite cigarette company and asked them to look into duplicating that flavor.
Lee, how much do you know about the Flying Dutchman?
I'm taking you to sick bay.
No, I'm going to the control room.
Van Wyck is clever. He's manipulating things so everybody thinks the Admiral is losing his mind and seeing things that aren't there. They really start thinking that when he takes them up to Periscope depth and sees that square rigger ship coming right at them. He tells Crane, "Take a look and then tell me I'm crazy."
I don't think there's much sense in firing torpedoes at an empty sea, do you?
Empty sea. She's out there, the Flying Dutchman. I tell you, Lee, unless we fire, she'll destroy us. Now take another look.
There's nothing out there, Admiral. Nothing. Downscope.
Crane is getting frustrated. He already had to countermand an order to fire torpedoes, and the Admiral seems to be losing all contact with reality.
Kowalski. What are you picking up?
Nothing, sir.
Is there any ship at all in the immediate vicinity?
No, sir, absolutely nothing.
Kowalski, check again.
The board's clear, sir.
Not much he can say to that. Crane sees nothing, sonar sees nothing. They have to conclude that there's nothing.
Nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
Admiral Nelson.
Who's that?
Surrender the dagger you stole. Surrender the dagger.
Surrender to whom? I assume Van Wyck, but the voice isn't telling him that. He checks to make sure the dagger is still in the safe.
Surrender the dagger or suffer the curse of the Flying Dutchman.
Where are you?
After 3 seasons of it, we're used to Admiral Nelson asking the most useless question he can think of. Where are you? What does it matter? Ask him what he wants with the dagger. Instead, he keeps searching his cabin for somebody who isn't there. He's not the only one noticing major weirdness.
Mr. Morton. Take a look at this.
We're right back where we started.
Mm-hmm.
We've been sailing in a great circle all night.
I told you to hoist the anchor before you tried to go, but would you listen? No. They can't explain it. Crane will have all the navigation circuits and everything else checked, but it's all fine. There's no cause for this. It's just happening.
Admiral, did you know about this?
Oh, I know. We're off course.
What do you mean we're off course? How did you know we're off course?
Look, I have been trying to convince you that we're up against forces beyond our control. I'm going to send out a distress call.
A distress call? Why? We're in good order and we're proceeding under our own power.
We're proceeding where? We're no closer to port than we were last night, and we won't be any closer tomorrow.
Well, how do we know we can find the trouble and we can fix it, can't we?
Not this trouble. Look, there have been 4 ships lost in this area. I don't intend for us to be the 5th. Sparks, send out a general distress call.
Aye, aye, sir.
Sparks, belay that.
They're going in circles with no explanation. Van Wyck seems to have vanished. Weird things are happening all over the boat, and Crane still won't accept that weird things are happening all over the boat. He still thinks Admiral Nelson is... Kowalski has picked up a ship on the surface. Through the periscope, Nelson sees the Flying Dutchman, while Crane sees a simple cargo ship.
Oh, just a freighter, huh?
Just a freighter.
All right. I want to talk to the captain.
Why?
I want to talk to him.
Sparks, there's a ship within 2,000 yards of us. Contact her in the clear. Ask to speak to a captain.
Aye, sir.
But why are you doing this?
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps I want to find out if we can still contact the outside world.
Newsflash, they can't. Sparks can't raise anybody, whether the freighter, Washington, or a radio station to request his favorite song.
Admiral?
Then Wick.
Why don't you face facts, Admiral? It's impossible to contact that ship up there, or any other ship, anywhere.
Who are you? And what are you?
I think you know. Just as you know you're doomed. You'll never contact the outside world again.
I hope I don't have to point out that he made sure nobody else saw that. Now, he might try destroying the dagger and see what that does. It's easy enough to do, especially if it's really good steel. Poke it into a solid crack in something, then give the handle a hard kick. It shouldn't take more than one or two, and nobody's going to use that knife ever again.
We can't raise them.
Oh? And how does Sparks explain that?
He can't.
I'd surface. I want to try a visual signal.
Admiral, the seas are running pretty high.
We can still try surface.
Chip, take us up.
Surface in that store?
Take us up.
Prepare to surface.
Except they can't. Whatever is taking them in circles is also keeping them level at 90 feet. No more, no less. They can't blow their ballast tanks, so they can't lose weight and go to the surface. And I'm not sure how you'd put a submarine on a diet.
Engineering, what's wrong down there? Engineering, what's the trouble down there? This is the captain. Engineering report.
Maybe the freighter rammed us.
She wasn't close enough.
Lee, you better have another look.
I tell you, she wasn't.
Up.
Dive, all dive. All.
They can't do that either. Since they're 90 feet underwater, I do wonder how those cannons are hitting them. But as Nelson said, we're dealing with forces we don't understand, so it sort of makes sense that almost anything goes. While the crew deals with fires, sparks, and other Irwin Allen effects, those two will discuss it in the Admiral's cabin.
And all this has something to do with a cave on that island that you discovered, am I right?
You still don't believe me, do you?
Well, the explanation's simple enough. There must have been some kind of volcanic gas on the island that produced hallucinations.
Look, you said you saw the Flying Dutchman fire at us. Were you hallucinating then? Is this an hallucination?
Crane still can't accept the idea that there's something supernatural going on here. Every time he gives an order to do something with the sub, stuff happens to stop it. He can't go up, he can't go down, he can only go round and round, and he's still trying to explain it rationally. Every system on the boat is working perfectly. He just doesn't have control of any of them, and he can't wrap his head around the reason.
I think that Van Wyck would like to kill me with this dagger.
Let me look at that, will you?
Sure. I have a book here that gives a detailed account of the legend of the Flying Dutchman. It all started when a Dutch ship, the Amsterdam, failed to return after a lengthy voyage, and well, here it is. And according to the legend, the ship and the crew were somehow cursed, fated to sail the seas forever, unless the curse could somehow be broken. In that case, the Amsterdammer would sink, and its doomed crew would turn into skeletons.
As Batman said, Nelson never has learned to mind his surroundings. He notices just in time, and the two are pretty evenly matched.
Skipper, no!
Leave him alone.
didn't mean it. I couldn't stop my arm.
Now do you believe the Admiral? Sharky won't face any consequences for punching the captain. In fact, given the circumstances, the captain should probably thank him.
Thanks. I needed that.
That dagger, it's got a life of its own.
Yeah, I know.
Convenient that they're exactly the same size. Carrying it in a sheath in your belt is a lot safer than carrying it unsheathed with the sharp end pointing at your essentials.
Our controls are still frozen. We just keep sailing in an endless circle.
Mm-hmm. And inside the circle, see, at this point, here, and here, 4 capital ships were lost, and right here in the center is where we discovered that island.
An island that isn't on their charts on top of everything else. It has to be the key to this whole thing, the island or something near it.
I know there has to be a connection, but I just don't see it.
No, I'm not certain I do either. I'm going to have a crack at something. Chief, how long will it take you to get the bell ready for a deep dive?
Oh, about 15 minutes, sir.
I'll settle for 10.
I see.
At first I wasn't sure what good the diving bell was going to do, but then I realized he's looking for the wreck of the actual Flying Dutchman, a ship called the Amsterdammer. I think he's hoping all this will stop if they can find it and destroy it.
Paying out cable too fast, Kowalski. Slow it down.
Right, sir.
Slower, not faster. Doing it, nothing seems to happen.
I regret to inform them that Kowalski is no longer in control of the drum. They can't slow it down and they can't shut it off. Nobody will think of something like jamming a crowbar into the works. I'm just dumb enough it's the first thing that comes to my mind when the controls don't work.
We've lost him, sir.
Yeah, the crowbar idea falls under the category of doing whatever it takes to keep that from happening. Admiral Nelson calls up and says, "What's the deal?" They explain in time for him to brace himself before the bell hits the bottom, hard.
Lee, you still read me?
Yes, what happened?
I'm on the bottom, but the impact smashed my reserve air tank.
How much do you have left?
About 20 minutes, no longer.
Well, you're too deep for divers. We can bring the Seaview down and try to grapple for the cable. That's our only chance.
Oh, wait a minute. I got a better idea. Might save time.
They have got to learn not to leave wiring uncovered like that. Any old ghost can just walk up and rip it out. Nelson asks why he's doing this.
You don't know the real story of the Flying Dutchman. Probably no one else does either.
Save it. We're running out of air.
You see, when the Amsterdamer reached this part of the world, the crew demanded the captain set a course for home. Well, he refused. So they mutinied. They brought the captain to this island, and the first mate killed him. But with his dying breath, he put a curse on them, saying they'd never again reach port.
And you were the first mate.
I am the first mate.
Huh?
But if he can find someone else and kill them with that dagger, they'll take his place and he can finally rest.
Now, that gear we put in the flying sub, is it ready to launch?
We gave her a routine check during the last watch. She's ready.
Chief, come with me.
Aye, aye, sir.
The extra gear consists of a set of pincer arms. Van Wick is holding the sub in place, but he probably isn't paying much attention to the flying sub. If they can get down there with it and grab the cable, they can haul the Admiral up before he runs out of oxygen. In the diving bell, Van Wyck is patiently waiting for that to happen so he can take the dagger and stab Nelson with it. One way to thwart this little plan would be to die of suffocation before he can reach it.
You sank 4 ships in these waters. Surely there must have been one man aboard who served your purpose.
Well, unfortunately, they all died before I could get one of them to my island.
We won't find out how, but if he sank the ships, they probably went down with him. He's not very adept at this.
You see, only the man who removed the dagger, as you did, and received the Dutchman's curse, could relieve me of it. Just a few seconds more, Nelson. And you and the Seaview will be the new Flying Dutchman.
If nothing else, it'll shut him up for a while. In the flying sub, the captain and Sharky have found the cable and have it in their grip. Since Van Wyck is out cold, he can't stop them from rescuing the Admiral.
Who needs oxygen? Bad. Take it to the sick place, Keith.
No. Look, that island has to be destroyed. You know the coordinates. Set the firing mechanism.
Now that he knows where the wreck of the Amsterdammer is, he knows a strike on the island will destroy the ship, too.
Fire.
Captain. Touch that button and you're dead.
Well, this is a problem.
Move away from that panel. I mean what I say, Captain. Move!
Don't move. Not a muscle.
How about several muscles? Is that okay? Where'd he get the dagger? I guess it doesn't matter where he got the dagger. What does matter is where he put it. And now we wait for him to either disappear or turn to dust, but in a very un-Irwin Allen-like turn of events, he does neither. They're left with a skeleton in a uniform with a dagger in its chest. In the aftermath, Captain Crane wants to know something.
What kind of a report are you on file with Washington?
You know, Lee, that is a very good question. I only wish I knew the answer.
Tell them the truth. Tell them the whole story. Just make sure you're in the room to see their faces when they read it. At the beginning, I was asking why we have so many supernatural stories. After watching these two yet again, I think I know they still haven't grasped the truth of Hamlet's simple statement, "There are more things in heaven and earth, Harriman, than are dreamt of in your philosophy."
All I gotta do is breathe underwater. Breathe underwater. Breathe underwater.
take a look and then tells me all contact with reality. Don't bite yourself.